I moved to Cleveland 8 years ago with a mission. Man, it's been paying off so far.
You chose to exemplify discipline.
You know, I went for a run one day and I saw Jacobs Pavilion and I saw the Q and, the Indian Stadium, the Brown Stadium. And I was like, maybe fighting's the call for me.
What are the milestones to reach within the mission that you're on?
You got to stack the bodies up. As dark as that sounds, you have to have that mentality. It's all about confidence. Fighting is just it's a different thing. It's a lifestyle that, like I said, many people refuse to do. My goal is to make the fortune. I want to become a world champion one day. I have all the coaches. I got all the materials that I need.
You have a story that people can rally behind.
I am an entertainer. I'm a fighter. I like embracing other people and, giving positivity and giving back to the city. That's what makes me happy.
No, man, I seriously appreciate you being on. I mean, to go from getting hit in the face and hitting people in the face one day and then going into the school the next to do what it is that your calling is also to do at this moment in time, and to take all of that and speak more to what it is that you so much deserve praise for and also appreciation for is amazing. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. And, without even going too far into it, who is Chase the Archangel Archangelo?
I am I just turned professional as a mixed martial artist. I just punched my ticket this past Saturday with a unanimous decision victory. And I just got my new career, another career as a third grade ELA teacher in the Garfield Heights school district called the Brilliant School. Super excited to, have a little bit of two sides of me. And it's going to be awesome, man. I'm just, very open-minded. I like challenges, yeah, I mean, I came out here 8 years ago, and I moved to Cleveland 8 years ago with a mission, becoming, having a new life, and man, it's been paying off so far.
You chose probably one of the greatest sports to exemplify discipline. I can't even think of another one that would cause you or anyone else to need more discipline to be successful within this sport. How did you even wind up coming to choose this one?
So when I first moved here, on my official visit to Cleveland State, that's where I wrestled at. And I got a wrestling scholarship out here at Cleveland State. And, I was looking at D1 schools to wrestle in college. I was a multiple state champion back in high school and two-time All-American. And I wanted to go to the Division I level, and I was getting looked at by pretty big schools, MAC conference schools, Kent State, Buffalo, good sized D1 schools, because there's not a lot of Division I wrestling anymore. And Cleveland State was one of the ones that called me, and I was like, yeah, I'll go visit out in Cleveland. Yeah, why not? And ironically, that was right when the Cavs won the championship too, and right after that, it was also when Stipe Miocic was fighting Alistar Overeem at the Quicken Loans Arena, and my coach, who was my coach in the future, was ended up taking me to the weigh-ins, and I didn't really I didn't meet Stipe back then or anything like that, but I went to the weigh-ins, and I've never seen a city get behind an individual athlete like Cleveland does. Obviously they did that with LeBron, and then the Indians as well. They had an awesome year that year. Unfortunately, they didn't go their way, but, I mean, it was still an awesome year in 2016. And I looked around, and I watched Stipe knock Overeem out, and the crowd just went absolutely nuts. And, oh, man. I looked around, I just said, yeah, I want to go here. I want to commit here. And I committed to Cleveland State, and then, I didn't really get the satisfaction I wanted when I was wrestling in college. I was a 2-year starter. Then the pandemic unfortunately hit. The whole world shut down, and I didn't really wanted to continue wrestling. I got hurt my senior year, unfortunately, but we were getting tested 6 times a week, and like it was just a nightmare. I was slipping in academics a little bit. It was a little bit of a barrier because I'm not a virtual learner, So, um, but and I didn't get the satisfaction I wanted. And then, 2021, I was really rock bottom. I was depressed. I was in a very, very dark state. I went, I was in, I got a lot of therapy, and, I was trying to get any help I can get, and as many resources I can get. My parents were very supportive of me, but they're all the way out in Delaware. So I had to figure it out myself. And, I just flashed back into, back when I was looking at Stipe fighting in, Quicken Loans. And, I went for a run one day, and like I saw Jacobs Pavilion, and I saw the queue, and, the Indian Stadium, the Brown Stadium. And I was like, maybe fighting's the call for me, and I wanted to challenge myself. And, my first fight, I was an independent fighter. I was 6 months sober. I got my life together. I got clean, and, I had my college roommate corner my first fight, and I was going against a really game opponent. He's a real good guy, so it was nerve wracking. The guy was scary, dude. Nico Jackson, man, shout him out, man. He was a scary looking dude. He's a very good boxer. I ended up boxing him back in February, but he was an animal, and I was terrified. It's terrifying to be in for your first fight, I always just thought about the amount of discipline and the amount of like struggle I went through, and there's nothing more struggling than a men's mental health. It's so bad. It was bad back then. And then right when I won that fight, it kind of just, my life just turned around, and I just won another one. And then I won another one, and then another one. And then, move forward to 3.5 years now. We're 2024. And now I'm headlining the Jacobs Pavilion. And like, it was just an absolute movie, man. Like I even teared up when I got the opportunity to fight there, especially in my backyard. So
you talk about Stipe, and you talk about where you are now, and you talked about what ultimately led you to pursue this mission that you're on. I want to take a moment and ask, what are the milestones to reach within the mission that you're on?
You had to be consistent. That's the first part. But like in the amateur aspect, you gotta beat people up. You gotta stack the bodies up, and like as dark as that sounds, like you have to have that mentality. I've had almost 100% finish rate, except this last one, but it was still a dominant performance. You gotta be dominant, and you gotta be able to get confidence within yourself. And you asked me that 3 years ago, I had no confidence in me anymore. Like I lost that thunder in me when I stopped wrestling, and then when I started fighting, it sparked back when I started winning. And then I went to strong style, and I had really good I have really good coaches and teammates that are now my brothers, and they all believe in what I do, and I believe in what they do. We have multiple guys that are in the UFC or formerly been in the UFC. And, if you just keep winning and staying consistent, like the coaches will give you the opportunity with management and, connections, because we have big connections to the UFC, because obviously Stipe, and multiple other guys on the team. So, and, you need, I think in the commission, you need like 6 amateur fights in MMA or like a couple boxing matches. I have 2 boxing matches too, and I won those too, but you need, like, it's kind of hard because like commission like changes every once in a while, and like they say either 9 fights, because it used to be 5, and then they had changed it to 9, and then but if you have a winning record, which I haven't lost in any of my fights, boxing or MMA, I can go pro. And now I got my ticket punched, and now this is where the money is now. And that, I mean, there are going to be a lot harder guys, and there's guys that have been fighting way longer than me, and it's gonna be eventful, man. It's that's what I've been training for. I train with nothing but professionals anyway. I mean, even the guys that are on our amateur team, they fight just like pros because we surround ourselves with very successful people. And if you surround yourself with the right people, it really does create a good culture, you know, and that's what Strong Style is all about, is creating good culture. And it's the tough mindset. Like, where the weak are welcome, but like they're willing to get stronger because life's not a hill, it's a mountain. You got to climb a very steep mountain, and sometimes rocks fall, and you got to be able to avoid them or being able to absorb them and keep climbing. So, I mean, that pretty much sums it. Like, being part of the fighting lifestyle, it's scary. It's the anticipation, the anxiety, the loneliness. It gets lonely in this sport. You know, like, it's a lifestyle that a lot of people refuse to do, and they refuse to live with it too. You know, I've just been a very individual person. You know, I worked my rear end off. You know, and a lot of people always, when I live downtown, a lot of people always see me running everywhere, running in 5-degree weather. Excuse me, and it's just breathtaking, man. Yeah, man, it's just a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work.
And now that you've completed everything that you've needed to fulfill your amateur obligations, and now that you will start fighting professional, will you be within some of the same organizations that have put on fights like this? Or where does that put where you'll be fighting ultimately?
Yeah, so it's usually based off of my coaches and the matchmakers. Like, they want me to probably fight more regional, which is like the Midwest. I probably won't be fighting Cleveland for quite some time, but I mean, if the opportunity's there, I'm gonna take it because that's where the money's at. But you know, a lot of my buddies, they fight in West Virginia. They fight in Wisconsin, like Milwaukee area. The LFA does a lot of. It's like the big UFC grab. UFC guys really grab the guys in the LFA all the time.
What is that?
It's I forget what it stands for, but it's like another organization that the UFC it's kind of like the G League for the NBA, but a little bit higher level than that. But like, it's the UFC grabs guys like that. Like, if a guy pulls out, breaks his ankle or something, they'll look for a guy in the LFA to be like, all right, hey, take a spot. And obviously, if anyone ever gives me an offer of that, I'm not gonna say no. I don't care who it is. But LFA is a big standing like thing in the fighting organization, fighting game. So LFA, there's multiple other ones. There's also the PFL and the Bellator as well. Like, it's like the UFC, different fighting organizations. But the UFC is like the most publicized thing. Like, they always say, "Oh, you do UFC?" I'm like, "No, it's MMA." But yes, it's, you know, what the UFC does. So a lot of people get that mixed up.
I want to take a moment to acknowledge the fact that you have progressed from amateur to now professional. But I mean, there are levels to professional that I don't even think anyone can truly comprehend. I'd say 9 out of 10 people haven't even been punched in the face, let alone gotten into the ring with someone that can straight up murder you. Okay. So what are these different levels that you are going to be barking upon while you fight additional people that have been either doing this for longer or have more experience or just straight up maybe have more of a natural instinct to fight?
Yeah, you know, like, that's the other thing about my gym is that we have a lot of professionals, and they're veterans. You know, they have a lot of experience. They fought a lot of dangerous guys. You know, Stipe is a prime example. And we were getting ready to fight John Jones last year in his camp. I was wrestling him. Like, I was rolling with him, and he's 250 pounds of just steel and just, muscle. And, you know, I didn't complain when Marcus said, "Hey, you're going to roll with Stipe." I went, I'm not going to say no. I'm going to take the opportunity because that's the best guy in the world. I mean, he's the best heavyweight of all time, and he's fighting the best MMA fighter of all time, John Jones. I mean, there's no debate on that. But he's not the best heavyweight of all time. Stipe is, and Honestly, and I fought AJ Dobson. I was sparring AJ Dobson. He's an absolute animal. He kicks my rear end every once in a while, but like, it's always a neutral ground. Alexa Chamor too. He's a Serbian guy. He's my dude. He was also formerly in the UFC, and I train with all those guys, and they're all bigger than me too. So like I don't, and I bang with those guys, and there's just those kind of gets my confidence up too. It's all about confidence. Like if you don't have confidence and you're just a great practice guy, like you could be a great practice guy, just beating everybody up at practice. But if you're beating everybody up at practice, you're not in a good gym. Like my hardest fights are in the room, and the level of the professionalism in fighting it's uncomparable. Like you can send NFL guys, bring NFL players, any other pro athlete, and you put them in a cage. They're not. They look like they have never done a sport in their life. Maybe you'd be surprised. Like I've seen a lot of athletes that they play at the highest level, and fighting is just it's a different thing. Like it's a lifestyle that, like I said, many people refuse to do.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I've noticed that between boxing and MMA, when you see professionals do it, it looks like it's a dance,
It's poetry.
Yes. But what's interesting is you get in a whole bunch of people who don't know what they're doing, and it looks like a rough and rowdy type of a thing. It's just like these people don't know what they're doing, and it looks weird and it looks awkward.
It's more of the people that don't know the sport. It's like it's more when all these YouTubers and are doing it. Like I don't consider Jake Paul a YouTuber anymore. That man can fight. That the guy can fight. Like Jake is a boxer, but the other guys, they make it more of an entertainment, and I think to me it's disrespectful to the sport because there's guys that have been putting their life on the line for such a long time, and they just never get the opportunity. But one guy can get famous on one video and then get a headlining boxing match. To me, that's just wrong. Guy made a fool of himself on the internet and got some laughs out of it, and then gets a headlining boxing opportunity. He's making millions while the one guy's been, working his rear end off and getting a couple thousand. It's a sport that we're not guaranteed to make the fortune. And my goal is to make the fortune. I want to become a world champion one day, and I have all the coaches. I got all the materials that I need. I've had offers. Ask me, oh, you should come out to LA, go to Miami, train out there, train in Vegas. I don't need to. I took a chance to move out here, and I'm gonna stay out here. I've been offered plenty of times, and I've said no to every single one without hesitation. And being able to do that, like at Strong Style, it's the best gym in the Midwest, in my opinion, probably in the world, in my opinion. But yeah, man, just boxing and MMA, it's a dangerous sport. It's sport. Like people die in this sport every year. 15 boxers die a year. Two MMA fighters die a year. God forbid. But I mean, anything can happen. Like one of my coaches, the last time they had fights at the Jacobs Pavilion, he lost his eye, and yeah, he lost his eye. He was winning the fight, and the guy stuck his thumb in his eye, and he lost his eye. And it's you're never guaranteed. It's when you go in there and the cage is locked, like anything can happen. Accidents happen, and and a good thing happened this Saturday was, Cody, the guy who lost his eye, he's my coach too. His guy won the fight that night, won his fight also Saturday, and it was really awesome to see because the last time Cody was there was when he lost his eye, and watching his guy, his fighter win the fight, and also me winning, and then the rest of my teammates are winning. It kind of felt like it brought peace to me, and I got to do it in my backyard. But I mean, just fighting in general, it's scary. It is scary. I'm terrified. If any fighter ever tells you they're not scared, they're not real fighters. Like they're full of it. I'm terrified before I go in there.
Well, you're right. It is dangerous, but it's also offered you a sense of community and belonging.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, even in just Cleveland itself, like I like the identity of being the fighter. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I like it. It's a good feeling. It's the individualism. And I get all the glory. Not 10 other guys on the football field. Not 8 other guys on the baseball field. It's me. And like I like fighting for Cleveland. And I rep Delaware too. But I was born in Delaware, but I started living in Cleveland. I never felt more alive when I'm out here. Winning state titles back home was awesome, but I didn't really get the fire. Like I did my job back home and I wanted to get out of Delaware, and I did. I succeeded on that, and then just Cleveland came to me, and it's open hearted. And I met some wonderful people, networked with a lot of people, met a lot of pro athletes, and tell them my goals. And I talk about my goals a lot, and I told them I'm going to fight there one day. I'm going to fight here one day. And, I keep my receipts, and now it's all coming together, and, it's awesome. Now I got people coming to my fights. I got Browns players coming to my fights, Cavs players, Guardians players, it's spectacular.
People love to get behind someone that they can rally behind. And I think by rallying behind you, they see courage, they see discipline, and they want to support you. And I hope that you recognize that in the same which way that you have taken Cleveland in some cases as an identity. Cleveland is proud to have you, man.
No, it means a lot, man. It's cool because my goal one day, and it's going to happen one day, and I know I could see it, like when Stipe fought at the MG or at the Quicken Loans, but now it's the Rocket Mortgage, like, that would be awesome to fight there. I'm thinking Brown Stadium. Like, that would be awesome. Like, it's never happened. They haven't had an outside event, but Abu Dhabi. But, like, I mean, I know it can work out. That's my goal. My long-term goal is to fight at the Brown Stadium. That would be spectacular. Whether it's downtown or in Brooklyn, I don't care. I think it would be an absolutely an awesome thing to do. But fighting MMA in Ohio itself it's huge. You see a lot of great fighters come from Ohio.
So this is where I kind of want to ask the question and break it down to the point of, what do you need to be able to get there? And the reason I think that that's such a valid question, and one that needs a lot of thought and execution behind it, is you'll have to excuse me if I'm mispronouncing his name, but Alex Pereira, okay? One of, if not one of the greatest UFC fighters, okay? At least in regards to what he's been able to accomplish within the time that he's accomplished it, okay? But here's the thing. I don't think as many people are going to know about him as they would Conor McGregor, okay? I don't think he's necessarily as marketable as someone like Conor McGregor, okay? Which is a shame, because this man has so much talent, so much discipline, but is not able to, in some cases, be monetized in the way that other people are that bring those people opportunities. So my question to you is, have you thought about what it is that you need to be able to achieve those goals that you have for yourself?
Yeah, you got to be entertaining. Like, you got to know, hey, you got to take risks. Like, when I'm in the cage, I take risks. I like to entertain the people. That's what gets me excited. Like when I hit them real hard, I point at them, and if the fight comes out on YouTube next week, you'll see me be pointing at them, smiling at them. I'm having fun in there, and what Pereira and McGregor do is, Pereira's not a talker. He just drops bodies, and it's very entertaining to watch. Conor is a absolute great trash talker. Back when he was in his prime, the sport was just skyrocketing at that point as well. Then Khabib came in with the wrestling, and when that was in an era where wrestling was impossible to stop. But now this sport is evolving, and wrestling is getting more advanced. People are knowing how to stop double legs and single legs, and the sport is evolving. It's getting a lot better. Like a fighter in his prime 15 years ago, he wouldn't survive in the UFC today. In my opinion, that's just me, because the sport is just evolving with technique. There's more discoveries, and everything gets discovered every once in a while. So just get to that standard, like that high point, like with the Pereira, McGregor, the world champions, Leon Edwards, so on and so forth. Is you got to be entertaining. Like you can't be a boring fighter. Like that's why not a lot of people say Khabib's the best of all time, because he just wrestled, obviously, so. And that's how I have to incorporate. Like, I just wrestled, but I also beat the living heck out of people, and I make sure I do it in a very fashionable way, And then this fight that happened this weekend, this guy really thought that I was going to wrestle him. He was a very game grappler. He's a good grappler. He said, "Oh, I know what he's going to do." In the interview before the fight, he's like, "Oh, I know what he has in store. I know what he's going to do." And then I just look over him. I'm like, okay, he thinks I'm just going to wrestle him. Yeah, we're going to stand up. And then even his coaches said, "Yeah, we didn't know you were going to do that." I just outboxed him the entire time. Like, he got me a few times for sure. It's part of the sport. Like, there's no such, you're not going to not get hit in this sport. Like, except you're going to get hit. That's what I can tell most people that want to get into boxing is except you're going to get hit. It's almost impossible to not get hit. Floyd Mayweather's even been hit. He's been grazed. He's been dinged. He's been rocked, but not as much. But like, you're gonna get hit. And that's pretty much it, though. Like, it's just you gotta get to those. You gotta be able to entertain. You gotta be able to take risks. Because if you don't take risks, then what are you doing? You don't need to play it safe all the time. I mean, I didn't want to play it safe this fight. Like, I could have taken him down, but I'm risking of him giving up my neck and give him the best scenario for him to win. I'm not going to allow that. And I believed in my boxing. We worked on my boxing tremendously this camp. And I did a lot of wrestling this camp too. But, I mean, as soon as I heard that interview, I went, I'm just going to stand up with him. This guy's not ready for me. Yeah. So, I mean.
It's interesting that you bring up the interview in which he said something, and then before we got started, we were talking about an interview that you had done, and after you had mentioned that, then I was like, oh, I wrote down something I want to refer to. So I think John Jones did an interview with Steve-O, and Steve-O said, John, I really don't see you doing a lot of interviews. Why? And he's like, dude, because I am one of the most dangerous people in the world, and I do not want to change that. Who I am makes me the most dangerous man in the world. So therefore, I don't want to let people in on what it is that I am thinking or the way that I think, because that's going to switch things up in a matter of me not being in control anymore. And if that's what I can control right now, that's what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, like, when I did the podcast, like, because usually I agree when I'm like in good energy and stuff like that, but then like once I'm like 2-3 weeks, week and a half out, like my persona, my body language changes. I'm cutting a little bit of weight, I'm descending down on my weight, and like I have a picture of my opponent in my room, like just with his name on my wall, and like where I live in the flats, so I had to look out my window every day and see the venue that I was gonna fight at, and like even on my days where I'm like didn't want to do anything, and like I just look at him and I just get my stuff on and go run. But like, going back to the interviewing thing, like when I was interviewing, I was stuttering. I was I'm the anticipation, the nerves, the butterflies, like especially the week of the fight, it's like crazy because you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm fighting this week, and it's like no matter how many times you do it, you get the same feeling every time. And the exact same feeling. You're like, oh, I just want to get it over with. I just want to get my hands on him. And that's when I am like, just like, I don't really care. like I don't like, it was a lot. He was talking a lot of trash too, and to me, I took that personal, and I just kept tracing his name on my wall, and then I just got my stuff on, go run, and everybody and anyone in downtown could tell you if they haven't seen me run, they haven't been downtown. So I run almost every day, but like I was so obsessed over for this fight, and I don't think he realized what he signed up for, because he did call me out, and
really?
yeah, and I took that very personal. He's a good fighter, but he's not on my level, and he was saying that he was gonna beat me, he's gonna knock my teeth in, and I definitely humbled him for sure, and he was pointing at the belt when the ring girl walked in, and I didn't break character. I just stared right through his soul, and like I didn't take my eyes off him till the fight was over. And as soon as I saw him took his eyes off me, I went, I got him. It's a mental warfare than anything.
You guys were both undefeated at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And only one came out victorious from that one.
He was 3-0, but he don't let the record fool you. Like he's a good fighter. Like, I give him that. But he beat one of our good guys, but he was a little lighter than me. He usually fights at 55, but he didn't even cut the 70 this one. But I mean, guy's tough, but there's a difference when I was cutting weight. I lost 29 pounds, 30 pounds this camp in 3 weeks. And I did a lot of strength training, a lot of cardio training, muscular endurance and stuff like that. And, I was obsessed with this fight. And like my coach originally wasn't going to let me fight in August, because I was like really sick back in June. Because I was supposed to fight in June 1st. I got really, really sick. It was very, very bad. Like they thought I had, I was like foggy, and they found something in my lungs, and like it would have been dangerous for me to fight. And, so we unfortunately pulled out.
Where was that going to be?
That was going to be in Akron.
And was the fact that you weren't there what allowed you the opportunity to be in this one, or could you have maybe done both?
I could have done both. But the guy we were fighting, he was good. He's a great fighter. He was the top guy. He is the top guy, or he was. I mean, him and I we're tied now, but we were supposed to fight. We were the top guys in Ohio, and the dates didn't really. I pulled out of the fight. Coach just made the right decision. I wanted to fight him, but even the doctors told me it would have been very dangerous for me to compete that night. But we tried to change the date, and they wanted to go a different direction, so we moved a different direction. And there was no shade towards them, but we got. And then coach told me, we were thinking about it. Well, I don't know if we want you to fight in August.
I think what's crazy to me is the fact that you are putting your body through so much, and viewers are thinking after they buy the pay-per-view or something, they're like, oh my gosh, I just came to see this person and now he's not even fighting anymore. Yeah. And it's like, I get it, it is disappointing. Absolutely. But it's like, think about how disappointing that is to the fighter themselves, and because realistically, they're the ones that have been putting their body through hell and high water just to get to the point of where they are to fight.
Yeah, it was awful, because when I pulled out, I know on my opponent's side, he had a lot of people going down there, and I had a lot of people going, and they didn't get their money back. That's part of the game. Like, it's a very tough business. Like, you're not guaranteed to fight. That's why it's so like the anxiety's through the roof, because what if he backs out and then you're not fighting, and then you're like, all that work for nothing. It's a tough business. Like, guys snap their legs in half 2 weeks out. Like,
yes,
it just happens. Yeah. And like I don't think that's what people don't get either. Like, oh my God, they'll call you soft. They'll do that. I'm like, yeah, but I'm in the gym 6 days a week. Like I'm doing 3 a days, and like this camp I was doing 3 a days before I got my teaching job. And It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's wear and tear on your body. It's like not a lot of people can do it. And like the thing is that you gotta know the background of it. Like I've been doing the individual sport I've been wrestling for 20 years, and then I've been fighting for 3. And it's hard. I mean, it's very difficult for just anything. But a lot of people just need to understand, like, we're putting our life on the line every week. Like when we spar, we spar. Like we throw headgear on. Headgear doesn't protect you from concussions. It just stops you from getting cut. I mean, if they wanted to protect us from concussions, we would be wearing football helmets, and they can still give you concussions. You can see in football. I mean, the headgear just saves you from getting cut, in my opinion. But like, yeah, so I mean, we're sparring every two times a week. And it's not just like, mediocre touch sparring. No, we're throwing shots to let you know we're there,
Can you explain to me the rationale as far as why you are fighting in the weight class that you are fighting in?
So my first 3 were at 185. I didn't want to cut any weight, wanted to just feel the sport. My first 3 fights, I was at 185, right? And the first 2 guys, they were a little easier for me. Guys that weren't as strong as grappling as I was. So I took it to them. And then the third fight, it was a guy that was pretty decent. He was like, tough guy, but I finished him at 85. Then when we start get, a little bit deeper in my record, hey, let's start cutting to 70, because 185 is a very tough weight class, especially when you get a little higher up. But even in the amateur standpoint, yeah. But like when you turn professional, because I know I'm not gonna fight professionally at 185. It's not gonna happen, because average one is like 6'4", 6'3" in the UFC. Like that's not really fair for me. It's not very ideal for me. So cutting to 70 was the best option for me. And my buddy Adam Bradley, he's my nutritionist, and we did a lot of strength training together, and he managed my diet, and I lost my fight back in not this June, but in 2023 in June, when I cut my first cut to 170, I lost 31 pounds in like 4 weeks, and I never felt the best. That was probably the best. Well, I would say my last camp was the best shape I've been in, my December fight I was in pretty good shape. I was in good shape every fight, but when I've been cutting to 70, I have progressively been getting in better shape. My physique, my body language looks spectacular. But even my body image looked great. Like it just makes me more confident. Like I look way better than this dude. I'm faster than him. I'm stronger than him. But I look at the guy I was fighting last week. He didn't really look like a lot. Like, not gonna lie, he looked like flimsy. He's just fat. He looked like flubby. Like, but the kid knows how to throw hands. He knows how to fight. And never judge a book by its cover. That a lot of people, but definitely, especially my friends, judge the book by its cover, and you can't, because he knows what he's doing. So, but yeah, like with the weight cut and everything, it mainly this. Yeah, it sucked. I mean, the last few days is miserable. Like you do fast, you cut out carbs, you cut out fibers, and I was only eating like 300 calories in a day. Like the last 2-3 days, I was only consuming like 300 to 400 calories.
Really?
It was awful.
And what were you even eating?
Ground turkey or ground beef, ground chicken, no seasoning. Maybe throw some Tabasco on it because it's low sodium. But then I would do like a little bit of like broccoli or asparagus, something like that. And then originally it was just jasmine rice and ground turkey, ground chicken, or steak. But when I started getting close to the date, I had to start cutting my meals down. That way I can cut the weight load. And then I just drank a lot of water. I was drinking I was drinking like a gallon and a half a day. And then that way it just flushes my system out. And then when I jump in the sauna, you're like a sponge. You just wring out, and then you'll just look shredded, and then you'll be able to replenish after weigh-ins. And then, because when I was in the cage, I was probably like 180. I weighed in the same day, weighed in at 170 on the dot, and then I got in the cage at like 182.
And what happens between you weighing in, you getting in the cage for 12 pounds to pop in?
So after weighing, so we weigh in at 11 a.m. when I was an amateur, weigh in at 11, and then you go talk to the commission. We got to do like a meeting or something. Then my mom, my teammate that fought last night, we all went to Texas Roadhouse. I got a 32-ounce porterhouse. That's my go-to meal. 2 sweet potatoes. It's good carbs. I didn't touch bread because bread's not a good carb. If it's white, don't bite. So that's what my mom always said. So that's like a good long-term meal. And then I was just drinking a lot of like electrolytes, EAAs, just stuff to rehydrate like quick, and not guzzling. You're just sipping. I drank probably like a gallon and a half, and every like a bottle of water is like 1.2 pounds like on the scale because it's intense. The scales are usually intense. So like if you think about 1.2 pounds, and you drink 2 bottles of water an hour, and I had like 9 hours till I fought. So I mean, if you do 9 times 2, that's 18 pounds of water. But you're also flushing out as well, so you're gonna gain like a margin of error of like 9 or 10 pounds. And then you can do like Rice Krispies. Like I do like rice cakes. I eat those, almond butter, because I can't have peanuts. I'm allergic, unfortunately. Yeah. But I eat those to snack them out. I just eat snacks and stuff like that. Strawberries, bananas, all that stuff. Like, gotta still eat clean till you get to the fight, because you gotta have good fuel to fight. So, but yeah, I mean, it's got down to a science. Like Adam Bradley's like is my guy. He's like my big brother. I love that guy to death. He helped me a lot in the nutrition standpoint. And then my other coach, Riley, he's a West Side barbell guy from Strong Style. He was also helping me lift as well at Strong Style, and he's a West Side barbell. It's a very big powerlifting company with Louis Simmons. I mean, he's an absolute dog. So yeah,
I've seen it somewhat, from what I understand, dangerous strategy to drop an insane amount of weight very, very, very close to the fight. Yeah. Therefore, what fighters can do is extend their period of time in which they're not losing their mind 3 days before the fight. Correct. And instead just like one. But right. I mean, I understand that's very dangerous.
Yeah, it's very dangerous, But the last day or 2 days, I was like, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit. But I mean, it's always gonna suck. Like cutting weight, there's never really like a best way to cut weight. It's always gonna suck, but you have the power of either you making it sucking really bad, right, and making it good. Like it'll never be good. I mean, I always took my training so serious, and like I just think of my food as fuel. I don't care like what I eat. As long as that puts something in me and I wait 20 minutes, I won't be hungry anymore. Because in your head, if you keep eating, you're going to want to keep more until you're satisfied. Yeah. You have to train yourself. If you got to eat and once you're done, you're done. I go in my room, play my PlayStation. I'm not hungry anymore. Yeah. And then that's how you stay disciplined. Your body has something to burn. You wake up in the morning, you're a little lighter, and then you have a bottle of water. You can pee that out by later, and like just having a science behind it. Like my coaches never worry about my weight ever. Like guys, because I've been wrestling my whole life. My dad taught me how to cut weight. My dad was a Division I athlete. He wrestled at Delaware State when they had a wrestling program back then. Unfortunately, their program dropped, but yeah, he had it down to a science for me. And then, I've done it forever, and my coaches never had an issue with me my weight. It's some of my teammates that did, because they're they're not really used to it. Like they just think, oh, I just gotta drop it and I'll put it all back on. Now, like I start my cut 4 weeks out, like my descent. I usually stay within 15 during camp, because I'm not a weight bully. I can't make 155. There's just no chance. But yeah, I have it down to a science. Like I get down, I eat my meals clean, I fight better, I spar better, I look better, and that just gives my confidence more. Like I am doing everything right. I'm eating clean. I'm going to bed at a good time. I can't lose. Like, and you still get terrified, right? But then when you go in there and they lock it in, I'm like, oh, it's on. That's the when you're like, this is real, you know? So, yeah.
Now, we've talked about leading up to the fight. We've talked about the fight itself, but now it's more of the recovery side that I want to get into.
Yeah.
What does it look like for you after that fight is finished, the belt is wrapped around your waist, you after party over at Barley?
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
what are these next couple of days? Because this is only what, two days after your
Yeah.
victory? Yeah.
Yeah, so I do a lot of like ice baths. I do a lot of ice baths. Because I mean, well, today I was doing orientation with my school because I got to welcome my third graders this Wednesday. Yeah, so I'm an ELA teacher, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, so like my recovery is usually just, you know, we just rest. We have a week off. Like we take 7 days. We don't touch the gym, you know, and then we can slowly get back into it, get in the environment again, like going in there and coaching a bit, you know, like not do any physical stuff like that, like physical like stuff, because our body went through a lot, like especially depending on if you went the distance. I mean, I got kicked in the leg a few times, you know, my leg's a little sore. I back fisted him in his jaw, and I think I hit his like forehead or something, and my hand's kind of hurting, kind of. But you know, I mean, it's part of it, man. You know, and like I got blasted a little bit. You know, we wanted to recover. You know, we're taking ourselves good time because now that we're going pro, we're gonna start looking at organizations. Not really sure which ones yet, but and which one we're gonna start out with. But you know, recovery is it's super important because this is not something I can do forever, obviously. You know, but you know, I have the right coaches to give me the right treatment, give me the right recovery thing, and we have an awesome doctor in Willoughby. He's an absolute animal. He has a chiropractic, and he's a disc. I think it's called disc therapy or something like that. He's an absolute animal. He helps me out with my rehab a lot. He does a lot of soft wave stuff. It's what the Browns use for, like, you know, tissue building, stem cell stuff like that. But I mean, I take my recovery very serious. I used to go to Live every once in a while too, get the cryotherapy, you know, the pulse electromagnetic like blanket. I don't know but like it helps my body a lot because you got to be in physical shape. You got to be in shape because you're getting kicked in your shins. You know, calcium, a lot of calcium builds in your bones, especially when you get punched and kicked and you're blocking punches. And you're getting punched in the head a lot, and you gotta stay hydrated and, you know, taking rest days. Like if you don't feel it, if you feel like you're not yourself, you can like literally we can find something else for you. You don't have to spar. Like our coaches never force us to spar. Yeah. If I say, Coach, I don't feel right, he's all right. Let's change it up. Let's do something else. You know, we always find a compromise with our recovery, and after fights, especially with a bar burner fight or something like that. Then we take as long as we want, you know, because we are ones first. Like, the reason why we pulled out back in June, like, my coach was like, "You don't look right. Like, it's not like you know, you're coughing your lungs up. Like, you're fatigued. And we're 3 weeks out. Like I should be in the best shape of my life right now, and I'm coughing. Like, I was coughing blood up. It was scary. You know, I was like, I don't know what to do. So, but I mean, yeah, so like we take our health very serious, you know, and some people just say, oh, tough it out. Yeah, you can tough it out, but there's sometimes you got to know, like, if it's worth it. Like, you know, like, it's not a UFC title yet, right? You got to know the situation, things like that. Like, you know, I mean, hell, like John Jones, when he tore his pec, you know, we never saw it, but, you know, it's none of my business. But, you know, we were heartbroken. Like, we were so upset that we didn't get the opportunity for Stipe to fight him at the Garden, because that would have been awesome for him fighting at the Garden. But, I mean, we took his camp very serious with his recovery as well. On his hard days, you know, we all, like, had a great ice bath day. Like, we're very old school. We fill a hose up in the big barrel, like a little bathtub, like a portable bathtub. Like, you just go to the gas station, buy a bag, like 6 bags of ice, dump it in there, and we're chilling there. I'm chilling in there for like 15, 20 minutes. And then, like, when the winter time, because winter's my favorite season, I'm a little weird. I jump in Lake Erie. I go for like a polar swim in Lake Erie.
I saw a bunch of the Instagram videos that you're posting, like training outside of the facility.
I love it. But you got to be different though. You got to be separate. You got to separate yourself from others, because if I ask somebody, hey, would you rather run outside or run inside? Most people, I'm gonna run inside. Yeah. Oh yeah, because you're comfortable. I enjoy being uncomfortable. Yeah. Like I'd rather run out with my shirt, because you're not gonna. Oh, you'll get sick. No, just throw a beanie cap on. You're fine. Keep your head warm. That's it. Oh, what about frostbite? Put gloves on. Who cares? Your arms aren't gonna get frostbite. You got your body heat. Your body will fight those bad cells and everything like that. So, yeah, you got to be different. You have to be different, because if you're not, like, you don't got that edge on people.
In regards to the UFC, what fighter do you find yourself being most compared to?
I would honestly say my style is more like Habib's, like, because before this fight, I was just taking everyone down and just smashing them, just beating them up. They could not get out of my wrestling, right? And we're training. Every time we're in camp, we train for the guy that has better wrestling than me, And one day, that day will be upon us, So right now, I would think I'm very more probably like a Michael Chandler. I'm a very explosive, rushing, blitzing guy. He's got very good boxing. He has a very wide stance. Like I have a decent. I have like a in the middle wide stance. Like it's more of a more of an explosion stance than a regular Thai stance or anything like that. It's hard to be in a Thai stance when you're doing MMA. It's different because you got to watch out for takedowns. But yeah, I would honestly I don't really want to compare myself to other people, but like. Because I don't want to be like Michael Chandler or Stipe, because they're those guys. I'm Chase Archangelo, But like if I want to say like style wise, I would like throw in Habib, Chandler, St. Pierre, like hybrid, because I have hands. Like I showed that last weekend, proved to everybody that I got hands. I dropped him with my lead hook. I wish I finished him, but Christian's got a jaw, man. He's got a chin. So I mean, he knows how to recover the right way, and I saw fear in his eyes. But
did you see that one UFC fight with Sugar Sean, and then there was a guy with like the neon green hair?
Yeah, he was a LFA guy. Yeah, he's an LFA guy.
Dude, that dude could take a punch.
That's what I'm saying. And the thing is that. Well, the UFC will probably never touch that dude again, because it was such a bad fight for him. Like, because the UFC does not want that on their thing, because that was horrible technique. Because he was walking and that probably cracked a good amount of his career, because face injuries take a long time to recover, and I've seen guys get damaged, but he wasn't even protecting himself. He had no head movement. He was just walking, and Sean didn't need to do anything. He was just picking him apart, and he could do whatever he wanted to him, and he did. But it just shows that the level of it too. But he was an LFA guy because it was like a 2-week notice or something like that. And usually a lot of UFC guys, they don't want to take 2-week notice fights because it takes a lot of planning and things like that.
Well, like you said, you start your cut 4 weeks out.
Yeah.
So if you haven't already started something, so in other words, if you were to take something like that, you'd be compromising your normal regimented workouts. Even
in general, though, I always try to if they give me a ballpark day, if I'm let's say it's August right now, and hey, we're thinking about November, right? I'll stay within 20. Yeah. I'll start just losing a little bit. And then the entire camp, I usually try to stay, when I'm 6 weeks out, I try to stay within 15, 20 pounds, because that's usually 15, 18 pounds, because usually what I'll probably weigh when I get in the cage, and it's pretty accurate. That's how I'm going to feel when I'm in the cage, so I always try to stay, because I'm not a weight bully. So I like to stay within 15, but we weren't planning on fighting 5 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. He gave me the thumbs up 5 weeks ago, and usually I have an 8 to 10 week camp. But I felt like I've been in camp for a minute though. He was just trying to testing Marcus. He's the head coach and the owner at Strong Style. He was testing me, saying like how bad I wanted it, like how bad I wanted to fight at the pavilion, and like, you know, I wanted to get on this so bad. Like I was begging, I was digging, clawing, just, you know, I changed my whole like my aura of it. Like I wanted to fight. I don't care who it was, blah blah blah. And then it was to a point where they didn't know who wanted to fight me, because the guy I was supposed to fight, they were looking at a different direction. And then they were looking, and this guy, Christian, he took the fight. And then Marcus just gave me the best news of my life, says, we're effing fighting at the Nautica. And I just spiked my water on the ground, and I screamed in the gym, like, let's go. Like, the whole team got hype. And then my best friend, Walter Sivane, he's fighting on there with me. And then Ben Williford, he's like the guy that actually recruited me to Cleveland State. He's fighting too. Yeah, he's from Louisiana. My uncle knows him down in Louisiana. It's a crazy story. But yeah, like we're all fighting on the same card, and can't get better than that, man. Like just having that family, you know, relationship, because you can't hate your fight friends, because you can honestly, I mean, you already throw hands with them. You already go to the worst possible outcome on a disagreement. We never disagree on each other, but like if he beats, you know, he punches me in the mouth a good amount, I dab him up, hug him, I say, hey, love you, bro, good work. Yeah. And like we don't ever fight, we never argue. It gets a little chippy every once in a while, but we're just competitive, you know. But like we already go to the worst possible outcome, and it's fighting. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's why like when you see a lot of fighters, like, I mean, a couple guys just don't have a wire, they have a fuse, but like, you know, the guys that just have short fuses. But most of our guys were just like, not tonight, bro, at the bar. Like guys that, you know, the IC red guys, you know, we love those guys, especially when they come to the gym, because then we tear them apart too.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So one of the questions I've been dying to ask, as you know, luckily, you know, knock on wood, is someone, and this isn't an invitation, but as someone who's never gotten punched in the face, what does it feel like to get punched in the face?
Honestly, like, it's not as, I don't think it's bad. I mean, when I first started, it was scary. I got scared. Yeah. I was scared to get hit. I was shutting my eyes. Like my MMA pop, his name's JT Miller. I call him my MMA dad because he was the wrestler and the boxer for a bit, right? And he was just like, you're not gonna, you know, you're scared to get hit. And my coach literally just compromised. Says, all right. He put me to the boxing side. He says, you don't leave that side until you can throw a right hand and you can take a punch. And I got punched by a 400-pound boxer. His name's DeJuan Calloway. He knocks people out with his jab, right? And I was getting thrown in with my Nick Rezick, who he actually is my roommate now. He's
I went to school with Nick.
Yeah, so Nick Rezick?
Yeah.
He's a 3-0 boxer. He's my roommate.
No way.
Yeah, he's
you have to tell him I said hi.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, so I had to spar him, and that was eventful when I first sparred him. Just a lot of guys in the boxing side. We have a really good boxing team. Then when I started like feeling it and just not overthinking, because a lot of people just overthink and overcompensate a punch. Yeah, it does hurt, but that's just temporary. Yeah. Like it's temporary. Like you doing, you know, when your muscles get tired, it's just temporary. Yeah, the run sucks, but it's just temporary. Like when I get hit, I mean, especially when my adrenaline's like skyrocketed, I feel more pressure than anything. Like, I mean, if you hit the right spot, I haven't really been rocked. I mean, I got rocked a little, like, few times, but I haven't like, I've never gone under. Yeah. But like, I couldn't tell you that feeling, but I've seen flashes here and there, and that was like, whoa, like. Yeah. But getting punched is really just like, just don't take it personal, I guess. Like don't have any feelings towards it. Like, like it's like words. Like if people say words against me, I'm like, okay, you know, like it's just like that. Like they're just like words. You get hit and like, all right, next move. Yeah. Like don't ever take it to heart, you know, because you're gonna just accept you're gonna get punched. Yeah. If you don't accept it, yeah, it's gonna hurt a lot more. And then I mean, I'd rather get punched in the face than get punched in the ribs or the body. Yeah, because body shots hurt way more. I'll say this. I'll just say this right now. Body shots hurt way more because God forbid if you get hit in the temple, you just go under. right? You get hit in the liver or the stomach or the diaphragm with the floating rib. You feel everything. Your body says you want to keep, like, you may want to keep fighting here, but your body's like this. Nope. And you'll just go down. Like if the Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis fight, when he hit him right in his kidney or his liver, right? That he wanted to fight, but it shuts down. Your organs start spazzing out and sending all these toxins all over to heal itself, and your body doesn't know what to do, and you just freeze up.
Yeah.
So I'd rather get punched in the face than the body, because I've been on my knee a few times when my teammate Alexa Chamor, he's in formerly in the UFC. He's a very good kickboxer, and he's kicked me in my stomach a few times and like my liver, diaphragm, and he's hit me with his spinning kick or a teep kick, and I was like I felt like I was suffocating, and that's way worse than getting punched in the face. Like, I mean, yeah, it's awful.
It's no surprise to me that you have the tenacity that you do because of where and how you have been shaped over the years.
Yeah.
So you are built different, okay? You have an edge to you that is insane.
Yeah.
But on a lighter note, I did want to ask, what makes Chase smile?
What makes me smile is bringing a lot of joy to people. Like, I am an entertainer. I'm a fighter. I'm a teacher. I'm excited. Like I said before, I'm excited to greet my little third graders this coming Wednesday for their first day of school. You know, I like to be the superhero. You know what I mean? Like I've always wanted to, like, you know, be a guy that people look up to. And, you know, this past weekend I signed a lot of autographs. I took a lot of pictures with kids. You know, I gave a kid one of my gloves, you know, and they'll probably never forget that. You know, whether I'm in the UFC or I'm not, you know, I'm still just teaching, you know, but I always wanted to be able to, like, touch someone's life, like, in a positive way, you know. That's what makes me happy, you know, like, but also, like, me just winning. Like, I love winning, you know, and I love losing too sometimes, because that you got to learn, like, you got to love losing too. And I surrender the outcome always when I fight, but it's terrifying. I don't want to lose, but, you know, I surrender the outcome. But what makes me smile is I like seeing other people happy too, right? And, you know, the roar of the crowd, like when I won, it was breathtaking, and I was just so happy to perform and bring so much joy to Cleveland. And, like, to me, I thought I brought a lot of joy that night, you know, and I made a lot of people, you know, spike up their adrenaline, and, you know, being able to like embrace, like scream, like let it all out. Like somebody could have just, you know, had their worst week, you know, and then they go watch the fights, and, you know, I hope I made their night, you know. And, you know, even just random people were coming up to me. They had my T-shirts on. I was like, this is cool. Like, you know, but that's what makes me happy. I like embracing other people, and, you know, giving positivity and giving back to the city. That's what makes me happy.
You have a story that people can rally behind. And with that, I wanted to ask, where can people follow you to stay up to date with what you have going on now and what you have going on into the future?
Yeah, so my Instagram is CArch170. Or you can just look up Chase, the Archangelo. Same thing on Facebook. I got TikTok as well, Archangel 174 or Archangelo 174. It's just Archangel and Throno. That's Throno at the end. It's my last name. But I don't have Twitter or X now. But I'm very busy on my Instagram. Try to stay on top of my social media, because I know how I like promoting a lot. I do like to shout out a lot of businesses. So if you do want to get a collaboration, I would absolutely love to. So I like supporting local businesses.
I saw you were just at Cocky's.
Oh, Natalie's an awesome owner, and her and her husband, they're running a great place. I'm so, like, happy to have met her. She runs her and her husband run a great place, and, you know, Barley House as well. Joe Orvac, Corey May, could be more thankful to have those guys on board. And, you know, not only that, you know, lot of other businesses too. Crazy Cannoli in Little Italy. They hooked me up with some gear at the fight. Shout out Crazy Cannolis. Really awesome owner there, and I like to always just be able to support Cleveland. I love giving back to the city. Because it's taking such good care for me, and it's emotional too. Because I never thought I would have that little kid from Delaware, 45 minutes out of Philly. Moves to a brand new city. He moves to a brand new city and has no idea who anyone is, and has dreams, and now it's all becoming reality, man. It's so awesome.
Well, congratulations. I'm excited for not only what you've accomplished, but everything that you will continue to accomplish well into the future.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.